Hey there, Yogi. In today's tutorial, we'll be working towards my favorite variation of headstand, and I also believe that it's the most safe variation for headstand as well, especially if you are newer to this practice. Headstands are super beneficial for the body. They are an inversion, so they start to strengthen the heart. It also helps improve your posture and extremely strengthen your upper body as well as your core. It can also improve blood flow to the head, the eyes, and the scalp. And if you're looking to boost your immunity, look no further than headstand. All right, let's dive into my favorite tips and tricks. Enjoy this practice. And don't forget to subscribe and push the little bell so that you get notified every time I post a new video. I'm going to give you some simple tricks and also some prep poses to help you get into this pose a lot more quickly and a lot more safely. All right, so the first pose that we're going to do is half boat or Ardha Navasana. This one is a really great one to start helping you to learn how to bring the low ribs and the hips towards each other, which is a key element for headstand or handstand. So a lot of times when we're in these poses, we get something called banana back. So we start to let our backs do this in order to to start to find balance, and that can really compress the low back and the spine. So instead, what we want to do instead of being like this is start to draw the low ribs and the hips towards each other, really getting a strong, stable foundation here. That'll protect your back and especially the low back, which is where most people, when they do get back surgery, it's right there in the low back. So we want to make sure to keep that area safe. And the more we can keep you safe throughout your practice, the longer you'll be able to practice yoga. And this is a lifelong practice, so let's keep it that way. All right, so for half boat, basically it'll be this. We'll be reaching towards the feet, low ribs and hips together, but we'll be on the ground. All right, so lay all the way back. Take an inhale and exhale. Lift the shoulders, low ribs and hips together, and lift the feet. Try to breathe, low ribs and hips together. Hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release. All right, and then roll it up. So that's the first one. If you want more of these poses and you want to put them all together, you can either write them down and come up with a sequence of your own, or please feel free to practice with me in my headstand flow. All right, the next pose. All right, so the next pose is modified plank. So here, this is a really good way to start practicing the placement of the forearms, of the elbows, okay? All right, so the next pose is modified plank. This is a great pose to still strengthen the core, but also to help you with the placement of the arms and the elbows. It also is a really great strengthener for the shoulders and the arms, the upper body. So you'll start on your forearms. Now here you want to measure by crossing the arms and seeing where your elbows are. Make sure that you can grab onto the elbows. All right, so then you know that the elbows are directly under the shoulders. Now interlace the fingers, curl the toes under, inhale. Exhale, lift the belly and come to the knees. So this is the first variation. I call this modified plank. You want to make sure here that you're not dropping the chest down. Push into the elbows and push that space in between the shoulder blades up. Navel to spine, lengthen your tailbone towards the heels. That's the first variation. Now, regular modified plank would be here. Okay, so hold here. There's a couple different ways to do modified plank. Another variation, you might be thinking, hey, I thought this was modified plank. That's modified plank as well. All right, so just hold that. 5, 4, 3, draw the chest forward, shoulders back, lengthen the tailbone, 2, 1, release. And just do a little cobra here, drawing the chest forward, shoulders back, and come down, push yourself up, and get ready for the next pose, which is dolphin pose. All right, so for this one, start on the hands and knees. Elbows are in the same position, so you measure them. Yep, there they are. Now, the tricky part about this one is that you don't want the hands to come in. You don't want them to go out. You want the forearms to stay parallel to the long side of the mat. If the elbows start going out and the hands start coming in, that's a good sign that your shoulders are a little bit tight. So then what I would do is focus on some shoulder openers, okay? Poses like Yoga Mudra are really good, lifting the arms up. Okay, there's a lot of different shoulder stretches, but that's a really good one that you can start working on today. All right, so otherwise you'll be here. Keep the forearms parallel to the long side of the mat, elbows under the shoulders. And then come into a pose basically like downward facing dog. Push into the knuckles, push into the elbows, and send the hips up and back, let the head hang. So if your head is touching the ground, that means that you're not pushing into the elbows enough. Okay, so really push and wrap the shoulders, send the hips up and back. So you're in a straight line from the elbows up to the hips. Okay, so come down to the knees for a moment. And now I want to practice how to make sure to keep your neck safe in headstand is by not collapsing. If you're collapsing down, that means that you're going to compress the neck. So push into the elbows, wrap the shoulders, and lift up. Okay, I'm going to show you this way as well so you can see. So instead of here, push, 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 and wrap. All right. So that's how I want to keep your upper body and your shoulders. Keep them just like that. Now interlace your fingers. Now instead of having your hands together like this, you'll separate your hands. Well, separate the palms, but keep the fingers interlaced. Keep your elbows under the shoulders. Keep your chest lifted up and your shoulders pushing up. Then the top of the head comes down, toes down, lift the knees. Now, if you're feeling too much compression in the shoulder or in the neck, you're probably collapsing down. So push into the elbows and wrap the shoulders. Then you'll have a lot of space. Then you start to walk the feet in so that the hips start to get above the head. Eventually, you can come into a tuck headstand, 1 foot at a time. Coming there, making sure again you're not feeling compression in the neck. To come out of it, 1 foot down at a time. Then I just like to come into, it's kind of like a child's pose, but just let the head hang. Just letting the head hang, maybe move it around a little bit, release the neck, though you shouldn't have had any compression in the neck anyway. All right, so another way that you can do this, if you're a little bit fearful of lifting the feet off of the ground without a wall, you can always face the wall. Put your hands down and kick your booty up to the wall. That can be a little bit tricky and a little bit unstable if you're not ready. So instead, what you can do is come onto the forearms and have your heels on the wall. I'm pretending that my couch is the wall. Bring the top of the head down, lift the hips up, and then walk your feet up the wall. You can bring 1 foot in and then keep the other foot on the wall, and then maybe it just comes off of the wall for a second. Don't kick off the wall, otherwise you will fall over. You can switch legs. And when you're ready, both feet can come into a tuck. One day, maybe pushing up. Squeezing the legs together, lengthening the tailbone, feet are active, so pushing into the heels and the balls of the feet, low ribs and hips together, then feet to the wall and down, knees as wide as the mat, and just let the head hang. All right. So that is how I love to teach headstand, especially for those newer to headstand, because it keeps almost all of the weight in the arms and the upper body rather than the head. You don't want any more than 10% of the weight on your head. This is a very safe way to do headstand, and I highly encourage you to go to a class. Make sure that you're doing this safely and maybe even get some private lessons or find a teacher that you love online. Maybe join an online yoga membership such as mine so that you can get a little bit more support around poses like this to make sure that you are keeping safe in your practice. All right, yogis, let me know in the comments how this went. I can't wait to hear. Namaste.